Welcome to the Notorious Scoundrels, a Star Wars Legion podcast bringing you the latest news, general perspective, and competitive discussion.
Hello and welcome back to the Notorious Scoundrels podcast. I'm Kyle. I'm here with Mike and Jay.
Hello.
Aloha.
You guys are back in your respective home locales.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's true. It feels like a lifetime ago that I was at your house, but it was really only 3 days ago. So that's the thing.
It does feel like forever ago.
Doesn't it?
Mike and I were working really hard the couple of days, and like you ever have one of those working sessions where you just like at the end you're like, I want to die now. Like I'm ready. I'm just ready to die. Like
I used to work for an accounting firm.
Yeah, it was just a lot of like thinky power that I wasn't really prepared for, and so I was just like, you gotta go, Mike.
Yeah, I think I surprised him with some of this stuff, and just like, these are the things we got to think about, Like
He was right. I wasn't in that like. Listen, I'm an artist at heart, so like when we start talking about technical details on stuff, my eyes gloss over, and I'm just like, oh god.
And when we're on the phone or like a video chat or whatever, like I can't prevent him from like zoning out. But when I'm physically in the room, I can be like, Jay.
Yeah.
Jay.
yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. If he calls me, I'm usually drawing, or I'll like play ukulele while he's talking, or I'm just like doing something, not paying attention. But yeah, having him in person, he really got me on task. So that was good.
Is that one of your skills, ukulele playing?
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
Yeah.
Do you have a ukulele with an arm's reach? Can you demonstrate?
Always.
Always. The man says
I'm
always.
legitimately curious now. Look at that.
Yeah, it is. Let's see. We could do See?
There you go.
Look at that.
There you go.
All right. Well, that was ukulele. That was a musical introduction.
Yeah.
By Jay Shalansky.
We could do all our intros musical if you want.
There
you go.
Jay,
don't tempt me.
Let's do some housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
What do you got for us, Jay?
How long is that thing?
That was more than enough time.
Right,
I might be able to do it 2 or 3 times.
Housekeeping. Okay. So listen, we got a couple things. They're the same things we've been talking about for weeks. Number one, we do have a Patreon. We'd really appreciate it if you want to come over and support us on there. We do have a podcast. We do roughly weekly. We missed last week, but most of the time we do weekly, called Fifth Trooper After Dark. And we talk even more in depth than what we talk about here, because we literally can do stuff that's maybe not as exciting as, we need it to be for Scoundrels. But like Mike and I have literally just gone through list building, like just picked a list and just argued about every unit in the list and why we put it in. And so if you want to hear about that, you want to ask us questions, you want to get some behind the scenes look at what's going on at the Fifth Trooper, you could join us over on Patreon. And again, that helps support all the great equipment and stuff that we need in order to bring all our entertainment to you. And so we'd appreciate any support there. And then Stormtide. Yeah. So last week we talked about the free mission that went up, and we saw that lots of people downloaded it, which we're very excited about. And if you have downloaded it and you haven't played yet, if you go to stormtide.thefifthtrooper.com, we've actually started to keep track of one of the pieces of the mission, and that's going to affect the story. And we wanted to show you that, hey, we are keeping track of this stuff, and it absolutely will affect the Stormtide story. That's the great thing about Stormtide, not just all the cool stuff you're going to be getting in these boxes and the cool story that Mike's come up with and all the cool art that I've been doing. Like, that's not the only thing you're going to get, but you're actually going to have a say through your gameplay as to what happens in the story as well. And so, basically what happens is you play a mission, you go to the website, there's a special code and all this stuff, and you fill out a form and just let us know how the battle went. and then we're going to collect all that data and use it to inform what happens next. I obviously not the next month because turnaround's not that quick, but a couple months down the road, because generally by the time you got the first box, we have the second box already printed and on packing it and stuff. So, but
Jay says generally, like we've done this before.
Yeah. I'm assuming that's how it's going to work. I'm hoping that's how it's going to work. Yeah, so generally, and so, we'll have, so you're going to have to wait. And so, so please fill out the forms, do the free mission, and just see what we're up to. Cause we talked about it last week, but I really enjoyed that mission that we did. And I think you guys are going to enjoy it too. So check it out. And that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, right now, Team Hurricane has saved double the number of civilians that Team Inferno has. I would just like to say, from a statistical analysis perspective, Team Hurricane are really rocking the boat on saving people at the moment. So
step it up, Team Inferno.
Yeah.
And then I would say, in addition to that, if you guys are like kind of just sneaking around and you haven't made your decision yet, which we totally respect and understand, on the Discord, we actually have an entire channel on the Legion Discord now with subcategories and everything. So there's general talk, spoilers, we're gonna have rules questions on there. So we got a whole section of the Legion Discord now as well for Stormtide, which is very exciting. So come join us, join the conversation, ask questions. We're there most of the time, Mike or I, answering questions pretty rapidly. So
yeah, I did you just mention the forums?
Yeah.
No, you didn't mention the forums. I was you mentioned the Discord.
We
also put the forums for Stormtide live on the Stormtide site, where you can find, kind of a living record of FAQs, any potential erratas or whatever we have to do. Sometimes that sort of stuff happens. And yeah, you can. I would love to see people post their Stormtide battle forces with like pictures and stuff. I don't know about you guys, but I always really enjoyed like the White Dwarf articles from Warhammer, where like they detailed like all the armies over like an army over like a couple pages, and they like take some really cool pictures of like units they worked really hard on and stuff like that, and like give explanations as to like why each unit was there, and they'd name all their people. I would love to see stuff like that. That's the sort of thing that this campaign is built for you to do. So there's definitely room on the forums for you to, post your Stormtide battle forces. We would love to see it.
Yeah, love it.
Awesome. All right, any other housekeeping?
I think that's enough.
Patreon,
we did that. That's
okay.
The first thing I did.
All right, usually you close with that, so
yeah, we've changed it up today. Pretty crazy, right? Have anything else? Pretty crazy, right? We're really going out on a limb. I will say we did change, due to some of the community feedback, we did change some of the command cards slightly, so that specifically the infantry division cards, and when I say command cards, I'm talking about Stormtide clearly. So some of the infantry division cards worked better with droids. So the Brothers in Arms card specifically, instead of being treat 1, capacity 1, has changed to basically the text of treat and repair, but it can only be applied to core units. So you can restore 1 mini to a friendly core unit. So a little bit less good overall, but any faction can really utilize it thematically. It also gives your units Inspire as a little bit of a bonus. Since that you can't have force users and stuff with it.
Yeah, and I would say this is another great example where we really, are taking our community seriously. And so when you guys have suggestions or edits or want to see stuff, I mean, listen, we're listening. We listen all the time, and we're very open to making changes that we seem that are reasonable if it's something we didn't see. So please just, even if maybe you're not buying Storm Tide, but you see some of the cards and you want to add your 2 cents, we're totally open to that. So not saying we're going to listen every time, but we're open to it. No, we listen. I'm just kidding. We're definitely open and listen and take everything into consideration. So, we, as much as this is a product that we're selling, it really is for the community, and ideally you guys are enjoying it just as much as we are making it. So
Yeah, hit us up on the Discord, use those forums.
Yep.
Hit us up on Facebook.
Yep. Oh yeah.
All right, shall we hit our tactics topic for today?
We got a
Sure.
tactics topic?
We do have an actual tactics topic. It's been a while.
Oh, God.
There's been so much to talk about.
There has.
Yeah.
Jay, that was the space I was leaving for the drop.
Yeah,
Well, now you need to
I
leave a
hated
new
it.
space.
I hated it. I hated the space. I
And-
didn't like it. It
And
was making me
now
nervous.
we're going to talk about tactics.
There we go. All right. Our topic today is Rebel Operatives, because we have somehow not done this slot yet.
Oh,
Yeah, we were talking earlier today about because we've been walking through those various, faction by faction slots, and we've done the commander slots for Empire and Rebels, but not the operative slot. So for either of them, we're going to start with Rebels.
all right. I'm gonna get Legion HQ up, if you don't mind.
Yep, I'm looking at it right now.
All right.
Where you want to start?
Well, there are only 4 choices, but they're all interesting. So, is it a hot take to say that this is the most of the 4 factions, the most competitive operative slot?
No. I don't think. No, I don't think it's a hot take.
That seems pretty undisputable to me.
Yeah, and I also think Rebels have some unique abilities that allow mass operatives. I guess before we just talk specifically about operatives, I think it's worth giving special mentions to Cassian and Lando, while not operatives in a list building sense. And clearly, I think we at least talked about Cassian from the commander side of things. It is, in my mind, when talking about the rest of the operatives, really important to know that you can have 4 operative tokens in your bag because of how Cassian and Lando's covert ops ability works, which to me can inform, you can play Cassian, Lando, R2, Sabine in a list or whatever, and have a great deal of flexibility when you draw a commander or operative token out of the bag.
Yep, for sure. And K2, of course, is himself an operative. We're not going to talk about him today because we kind of already did when we talked about Cassian.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's technically 5, but of course you can't take K2 unless you take Cassian. So we're going to talk about the other 4 that are not K2. How about we start with Chewbacca? Because we just talked about Chewbacca, and we've been on kind of a Wookiee roll. Hopefully we don't have to speak any Shriwook this week.
I require it, and I think we should. I think you should.
I do think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity in my mind, for all those Wookiee cards to not be takeable for the Rebel version of Chewbacca. That upsets me a little bit.
Yeah.
Just because he's got 3 sweet command cards already that never see the table.
Yeah, it's interesting, and we can hit that. Well, let's just hit it. So let's talk about Chewbacca first.
Yeah.
So his unit card, very similar to the Republic version. This is, of course, the OG Chewbacca. 9 health, 2 courage, surge crit instead of surge hit. His bowcaster's 2 red, 2 white, impact 1, pierce 1. His normal melee attack is 4 red, lethal 1. So that's identical to Republic Chewbacca. He's got enrage 4. So when he's got 4 wounds, he gets charge, and a dash for his courage value. Guardian 3 with no restrictions, unlike the Republic version. Scale, and then Teamwork Han Solo.
So I'm not gonna lie, I haven't played Rebel Chewbacca since like, I don't know, a couple weeks after he came out. Because I don't play a lot of Rebels. When did he get Lethal 1? Is Lethal 1 new
It
with
is.
the updated cards? So technically he doesn't have Lethal 1 yet, right?
No, he does. He got it with, so when they did the errata to the Rebel Wookiees, to
Okay,
give
so
them,
that's when that happened. This isn't like a version of his card that comes with the like new Republic version. Or
No.
anything. Okay.
yeah,
Um.
that is
This is an
the
errata.
official version of Chewbacca that currently exists.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, he didn't have scale either. He had expert climber and unhindered.
I always get like, so this is the problem with the ratas to some degree. I always like look at the cards on Legion HQ and I'm like, my card doesn't look like that.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, I mean, I think he's got a good base profile. He's fine. I find Chewie not to be super spicy because he really, I mean, in most lists, he doesn't have a command hand. So you're really kind of paying 90 points for a unique character that doesn't have any spice to them. Like his guardian ability is cool, but like I think about 90 points and I don't, it always comes back to this, but like, you know, if Rex didn't have any command cards, I wouldn't pay 90 points for him, you know, like I that's just, you know, and I sort of feel like Chewie's price is still a unit that should get command cards, but he doesn't really have access to any.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate.
Yeah, isn't that weird? He's like the one, maybe I'm wrong here, correct me if I'm wrong, but he's the one unit that's completely contingent on all their units to be successful. Like I have to have other units in order for him to really maximize. I have to have 4 now. I have to have 4 other units in order to maximize Chewie's potential on the board. So it feels like limiting to me, like constricting.
Yeah, I mean, it's never really been realistic to expect to ever use more than like one of his command cards in a given game.
Yeah.
And he's always felt sort of to me like a character more like K2, who is a very good unit, but where the most of his value comes from his unit card rather than whichever one command card you're taking with him, if any. You know, some of the most effective uses I've seen of Chewbacca are basically just literally for his unit card in like a, you know, there's that Cassian K2 triple Wookiee list that is just a pure stack furball list, and that also has Chewbacca in it, because if you're already taking 3 Wookiees, Chewie leans even further into that pure stacking and the wound stacking.
Yeah,
So
I think go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it's defensible to take him even though you may be using 0 or 1 of his command cards.
I think you're to some degree right. I think that's only because this faction tends to be saturated with command cards already. I think if he was living in any other faction, I don't think it would be okay.
I just don't like the limitations. Like I don't like it. It just seems, I don't know, unreasonable. And then you know, and I get the whole like thematic teamwork with Han. It's just too bad Han's not great anymore. He's okay.
Well, I do think that if Han Solo ever becomes a good unit in this game, I think we're going to see tons of Chewbacca. I think giving a good unit teamwork is like a big deal. Yeah, and I think that's like one of the, again, kind of like on the things you lose out on, because you know, like you're not really getting any command cards if you don't take Han, like you're losing the teamwork ability. It feels like to your point, Jay, if you're not taking Chewbacca, or rather, if you're not taking the specific characters that are supposed to go alongside him, you're like losing value, and that's a little bit of I think false assumption, because Chewbacca's, like you said, Kyle. I think his unit card is defensible, and I think with new stuff like Protector, the training upgrade that allows you to Guardian crits, Chewbacca even maybe gains a little bit more value. Do you guys think you just like staple Protector to him?
Yeah, because I mean, I think you're using him for Guardian at that point, right? Like if you're not putting him with Han or Luke, or even if you are putting him with Luke, I guess you're probably still using Guardian. So yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah, and he's got 2 training slots, and you're typically only filling one of them. If you're filling any of them,
Yeah.
you might put Tenacity on there. But I think Protector is basically his first training slot now at this point. And then if you've got extra points, you throw Tenacity in that second one.
Yeah, I guess from a strategy tactical standpoint, just to talk about Chewbacca, like his main use in Rebel armies, and Kyle, correct me if I'm wrong here, is basically to be a bullet sponge for enemy snipers. Like he is there so that your snipers don't get eaten by their snipers. Protector, I think, just enhances that ability, specifically against arcs. And I think that is a big deal. Like he definitely does that job well. In like the same way that like Jay, you're like naked IRG try to do it in your Imperial armies, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing, just for a little less, right? And he has a couple other things. I think really poignant though, like I was thinking about this, and just to circle back around to Han, is when Han was good, you still didn't take him with Chewie. It was the Flyboys list, which was Luke and Han, right? So I think that says everything about Chewie right there. Is Han at one point was good. We still didn't take him with Chewie. We took him with Luke. I don't know. And it just feels like, so the IRG are different, because I think there's more to protect when you put an IRG, like it's either Palpatine or Vader, or it's something else is going on, where it feels like Chewbacca, it's like, I don't know, if you put 90, almost 100 points in after you give him some upgrades for sniper cover, or that just doesn't seem like a lot that he's doing, that I'm like, I'd rather have that 100 points with something else.
Yeah, I mean, Rebels benefit a lot from Guardian generally because their stuff is also squishy.
Yeah.
And 9 health is not, I mean, he just like any other wide save unit, he melts pretty quickly when he's focused. But if you're just pulling up those occasional like Pierce chip shots, 9 health does go pretty far. And Chewie's offensive profile doesn't degrade at all until he dies. Whereas there are a lot of other Rebel units, like Rebel Troopers, where each model you lose is pretty painful. So
it's notable that his offensive profile often gets better when he takes damage,
right?
In that he gains charge and
right.
or turns tenacity on, right? So
correct, yeah.
Being able to do that, and your opponent not really, like, the only thing your opponent can do to not turn those things on is to like not shoot you, which is not a great option.
Yeah, right.
So like those things are going to happen every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and his bowcaster is good too. It's one of the few ranged weapons in the game that has both impact and pierce on it.
Yeah,
which means that it's good against tanks, red save armor, and he also has surge crit. So the odds that you're pushing like two wounds through at range 3 on a red save tank with Chewie are pretty good, which is not nothing. That's like a saber throw basically at
totally
range 3.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I honestly think I've seen Chewie shoot way more than fight in melee most of the time. Not that he can't fight in melee, because he's clearly very good at it, but you know.
Yeah. Let's talk about his command cards real quick, because we've talked about how situational they are, but we haven't actually talked about what they do.
Yeah. Let's not talk about Yoda's, because Yoda is A, we talked about it last week, and B, it's in the wrong faction.
Yep.
Though I would like to say I do believe that you could technically take that card
in a rebel list and just give an order to Chewie, right?
That's a good question.
Just as a caveat, like,
Mm.
I'm not sure you would ever do it.
I'm not sure why you'd want to.
But his command card size matters sometimes is Chewbacca in the top right hand corner,
Yeah.
and it just says Chewbacca. I'm pretty sure you could. I mean, like, the text is blank and it's a 2-pip that would just give an order to Chewbacca.
Yeah. But you could technically take it.
You could technically take it. I don't know what good reason there is, maybe, but like, it's something you could put in contingencies and something if you're like, think, I don't know. I don't have a good answer here.
Well, okay, so he gets. So I think the good answer is doesn't he still gain deflect, and then he also rolls red defense dice?
Because that's only while Yoda's in
defending.
base to base with him.
Oh, while. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
And if you don't have a Yoda to be in base to base with Chewie, then he doesn't.
Right. Yeah, that's fair.
So I have a really interesting question here. And this is gonna be like very corner casey, but maybe talk to the Yoda ability. So, and I actually haven't thought about this before. So clearly it is implied that all of the Yoda references in the sentences after the first imply that it's talking about a friendly Yoda, but I actually think it's totally possible that you could your opponent's Yoda may count.
Yeah, that's gonna definitely need some kind of FAQ.
At least rules is written. Like, I haven't like taken like a good hard look at this card, but now that I'm reading it a little bit more thoroughly
you're right.
in the context of like trying to abuse it, I think that he actually may gain deflect if he's in base contact with a hostile Yoda.
And in theory, going by this interpretation, you could argue that you could cause a hostile Yoda to not be able to perform moves.
Yes.
But
I mean, the implication here is that the Yoda
it's clearly supposed to be the friendly
right?
Yoda.
Yeah.
But you're right. The only time that it says friendly Yoda is in the first sentence, and it goes so far in that first sentence to say that Yoda.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
So maybe you take Lando, Han, Chewie, contingency this card in
case you face a Yoda.
Yeah,
just to bottle Yoda up. Congratulations, Legion community. We found the hard counter to Yoda. Put Chewbacca on all of your lists and profit.
Yeah. Just to mess with someone's brain.
All right, let's talk about his actual Rebel command cards.
Just to be clear, this is an actual Rebel command card. I want to be very clear about that.
I'm sorry. Let's talk about his Luke, Leia, and Han command cards.
All right.
Somebody want to walk us through the one? Let's start with the 1-pip.
Okay. All right. Common cause. So this is a 1-pip, Chewbacca and Luke Skywalker. After Chewbacca activates, if Luke Skywalker has a face-up order token, he may activate. After Luke Skywalker activates, if Chewbacca has a face-up order token, he may activate. Yeah.
So, look, all of his cards are really busted, to be completely honest. Like,
the effects on these are really good.
Yeah, when I say busted, I mean really good. Like, they're not actually like broken, but like, this isn't to be able to, like, this is Leia's 3-pip, but on 2 good units as opposed to,
and it's a 1-pip.
Right, and it's a 1-pip, right? And it's a 1-pip handing out 2 orders, and like your 2 best units get to go back to back without interruption. This was a card that I think when we originally saw, I was like, this is gonna get played all the time, and I've never seen it played once.
I think the issue there is that Luke already has 2 good 1-pips.
Yes, I think that's part of it for sure. But I do think Common Cause a lot of the time could be better than Serve.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it depends on where they are, right? Because if Chewie is enraged and he's close to Luke, you can always use Serve to take an action with Chewie, and then Chewie still gets to go on Chewie's normal turn. But yeah, there are situations where it could be better to play this over Serve, or even Son of Skywalker. in theory. Like if you've got Luke and Chewie facing down against an enemy force user that's Pierce immune, and Chewie's got tenacity active, his attack is actually better than Luke's lightsaber.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
So,
marginally, but
yeah.
But worth noting, you'd get an extra aim token out of the deal, right? Probably.
Yeah, I mean it's sort of a 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other, because Son of Skywalker gives you 2 Luke attacks, and then Chewie can also on his turn make his own attack whenever that happens to be, because he won't have an order on him if you play Son of Skywalker.
So with you serve, I thought that couldn't be commanders or operatives.
Oh, you know what? You're right. That is the thing. So yeah, you can't serve Chewie.
Yeah, no. I didn't realize that was what you were saying. But you can common cause Chewie, clearly.
You can, yes.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good card. I'm still a little bit to this day a little bit surprised we haven't seen more of it.
Yeah.
Like all of the clearly there's maybe a little bit more synergy with Royal Guard and Imperial armies, but even if you're playing like Darth Vader, like you still kind of want Royal Guard to keep him alive, right? And if you're playing Palpatine, you're playing Royal Guard. Clearly, Republic has never had access to Guardian before, at least not except on the unit that you want to be Guardian off of. So I always found it a little bit interesting. The Rebels didn't use Chewie specifically to keep Luke alive. I think part of that is due to how strong his dodge command and cards are. He can kind of do it himself.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: which Luke are you running him with, commander or operative?
I think you could make a case for either. I think it's probably operative, just because if you're running a Luke right now, it's going to be operative Luke. I was actually seriously running before Worlds was canceled in whatever year that was.
2020.
2020. What year is it? I was actually running a list with Yoda and Jedi Luke in it. This was in like the height of the Tauntaun meta, so I was testing that.
You mean Chewbacca and Jedi Luke, not Yoda and Jedi Luke,
I'm
right?
sorry, yes.
Okay.
Did I say Yoda?
You did.
Man, Freudian slip right there. Chewbacca and Jedi Luke in the same list as like preparation for 2020 Worlds, just testing that combination. So yeah, I mean it's a thing that can work.
Well, I mean Rebels always seem to have enough points too, right, that you can have multiple heroes.
Yeah.
I mean you could even probably find a list where you put Leia in that as well, so you have Leia, Luke, and I mean I'm not saying it's going to be great, but you could definitely put it together and have some good activations.
Yeah, I think the one I was running was like Luke, Chewie, a rebel officer, a bunch of DLTs, and some snipers, basically.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Sounds your style?
Yes. All right, 2-pip.
Yeah.
I think this one's actually the most used of his, or at least historically is the most used of his various command cards.
I think this is maybe tied with the next one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Brains and Brawn, Chewbacca and Leia Organa. When Leia Organa is performing a ranged attack, if Chewbacca is not enraged, has line of sight 2, and is at range 1 of 3 of the defender.
Not engaged.
And it is not engaged, yeah. Add one of his ranged weapons to the attack pool. It's basically fire support.
Yeah, and you don't have to flip his token over.
Yeah, this is Call Me Captain before Call Me Captain was a thing.
Yeah,
basically,
which is a good card.
It's really, really good.
What's the attack profile you're looking at here? It's Leia has sharpshooter, 2 black with Pierce.
So it's 3 black with Pierce, right?
I'm sorry, yes, 3 black with Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 3 black, 2 red, 2 white. Pierce 2, sharpshooter 2.
Yeah.
Surge crit.
Yeah, it's a great attack.
That's a good attack.
Impact 1.
Yeah.
Too. So
the issue has always been if your Leia is at range 2 of things.
Yeah.
She's probably not long for this world. Even more so nowadays. So You know, yeah, I think that's definitely the flaw in this card overall.
Yep. But I think if you're running some kind of like Chewie Leia gun line, you're taking this anyway, just because it's, you know, what's the downside? At worst, you give orders to the two things that you want orders on anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great card. If you ever get
Yeah.
to go off with it, you just like delete a unit.
Yep.
You know, it's basically a Death Trooper pool with Sharpshooter 2 and Pierce 2. So
Yep.
seems good.
Mhm.
You know.
All right, 3-pip. The most well-named command card in the game.
There you go.
Notorious Scoundrels. Chewbacca and Han Solo. Choose one of Han Solo's command cards in your discard pile. Return that card to your hand.
Good.
I mean, if you're running Han Chewie, you're definitely just running this. Because Han's not super competitive right now, but that's not because of his command cards. His command cards are still great.
Yeah. At the time this was released, it was definitely like get back one of, you know, the two best, one of the best command cards in the game, right? There's value here. I do wish now that like Lando is out, this was like choose one of Han Solo or Lando Calrissian's command cards.
Yeah.
You know, like but I do think it's a shame that Lando and Chewie like have no synergy really. But whatever. Yeah, I mean, there's not much strategy to this card, I think, overall. It just you play it on a turn where you can play a 3-pip to get Han's 1-pip or a 3-pip back, probably. I think the times that you're trying to get Han's 2-pip back these days are not many.
Yeah. The value of Reckless Diversion has been watered down a little bit over time.
Yeah. So is 3-pip's amazing. It's Han's 3-pip is amazing. It's one of the best ways to deal with any good command card in the game right now. So just get it back with us.
Yeah, and since when you use Change of Plans for its text effect, you discard it and then play another card. That other card you play can be this one, and then you immediately get Change of Plans back.
Yeah.
So. All right. Anything else to say about Chewie? I guess we could talk about his upgrades.
Sure.
He's got 2 training and a gear slot.
Yeah, so I think we already said protector for sure,
Yeah.
right?
Protector tenacity.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see a case for Obush because of lethal on his melee attack. Similarly, like if you're doing the Wookiee rush thing, I think a name token for lethal may be worth it. Gear upgrade, I think you either take recon intel or probably leave it empty.
I guess it depends. If you're using him like for protecting, right? And that's his whole goal, you could put scanner on him, portable scanner. And
Yeah.
dodge too.
His range attack's too good to spend actions on giving dodges to other people. I get what you're saying, but I think even if you're doing that, you're still having Chewie take pot shots at range 3.
Yeah, if he could like Sarasu, that would be good, but
Yeah.
but he can't.
No.
So.
Yeah, I think it's recon intel or nothing for the gear upgrade.
So let me ask you this. Could he give, with the portable scanner, can he give the dodge to himself?
Yeah.
So then could he take Guardian and situational awareness?
Situational awareness does not allow you to spend dodge tokens on Guardian.
Yeah, that's just
No, but like I mean, if you're using him as like I'm just theory crafting here, so I could be wrong, but like if you're using him as this protector only, right? So now you can give yourself a dodge if they're going to try to kill Chewie to get rid of him so he can't guardian the other stuff or do what he's doing, then at least you could give yourself a dodge and protect on crits, and then you can also guardian on hits and crits now too. I don't know. I'm just thinking of different ways he can just like eat up hits, you know?
Yeah, I think if you do that, your opponent just shoots something else.
Mhm.
All right, we've got 3 more operatives to talk about here. Should we move on?
Sure.
No, let's keep talking about Chewie. Rest of the cast.
Before the cast, we were like, can we talk for an entire cast about the Rebel operatives?
Turns out the answer is yes.
Yeah. So I actually don't think we need to talk that much about Jedi Luke because we kind of already talked about him in our Force user episode. But let's hit him real quick.
Well, I guess the things that changed are burst of speed and force lift, right? So I don't know if those. I guess the question with him is, do you think either of those are valuable on him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the answer is yes, like 100% yes. I think burst looks really good on Yoda, Vader, Palpatine, and then I sort of feel like the list kind of stops there, other than Operative Luke. I think burst of speed disengage is really good.
Well, and one of the most important factors here is Luke has 3 Force slots.
Yeah.
And I think sort of unique among Force users, he has, beyond just Force push for the first slot, he has kind of a lot of flex in the remaining ones. I like to run him with Saber Throw and reflexes. I've seen people cut Saber Throw for Jedi Mind Trick. I've seen people cut reflexes for Jedi Mind Trick. Basically, it's kind of, there's, beyond Force push, there's a lot of mix and matching already going on with his remaining 2 Force slots.
Yeah.
So I could easily see you taking like lift and speed alongside Force push in those 2 slots. Luke's a pretty aggro Force user. If your table has barricades on it, even if you're not using those barricades for abusive shenanigans like we talked about last week, you can still do stuff like, if he's up in your opponent's face, yank those barricades away from them and leave them in the open. Like, there's all kinds of stuff you can do if Luke's up in your opponent's grill with Force lift.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, speed 3 Luke is terrifying. So
it's disgusting. I saw a couple people on the not on the forums, on Discord today, like, whoa, I got speed 3 burst of speeded and then Vader's mighted on the same turn, and it is filthy. And I'm like, yeah it is. But I think Luke is like very not much different. I think to your point about his Force slots, I think one of the reasons Luke's Force slots are so flexible is that flexibility is sort of already in his command hand. Clearly they're different effects, but a lot of the things that you need out of other Force user slots are in Luke's hand already.
Yeah, like the dodge tokens.
Yeah.
Right. Like Force reflex is good on him because dodge tokens are good on Force users, period. But a lot of times Force reflexes on Jedi Luke is, well, I guess I get a second dodge token this turn,
Well, and
because I got a free one from one of my command cards.
I think the majority of Force users have been using Force powers to close the gap or for survivability a lot of the time. Like Force push a lot of the time is about surviving.
Mm-hmm.
Like of all the Force users in the game, with the exception of Palpatine, Operative Luke probably needs it the least. I definitely still take it, but it's with multiple Force powers attached to him, it's the one I refresh the least.
Yeah.
So I think he's got a lot of flexibility, and the extra options is great.
Agree.
All right.
You feel a need to mention anything else with Jedi Luke?
Nah.
No, not really.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about Sabine.
Can we? Because I got a bone to pick here.
Sure, go ahead.
Right.
Pick away.
Why are people not playing Sabine Wren anymore? Like, can I have like a good reason? Because I have yet
like, and I'm not saying everybody's stopped playing Sabine, but she definitely does not get anywhere near the table time that she should.
Do you think it's because Clone's ability to wipe her off the planet if she gets too close to do any of her trickery?
No, I actually think she's one of the best ways the rebels have to deal with clones.
I agree.
Like she can hit an entire clone ball with like 40 dice. Like, it's in one attack, basically. I don't get it. Like, she seems to kind of counter the meta a little, like, perfect.
Isn't it the fear? Like, okay, because I've seen some Sabine bombs go off that don't really do anything, and then Sabine's kind of in a compromising position when the rolls went bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think
So is that the fear? Maybe I'm thinking.
I mean, I think that fear may be a thing. I think overall, if Sabine is in a compromising position after you've laid out her bombs, you did it wrong, to some extent.
Yeah, because she's extremely mobile and she gets a free move off of her bombs. So.
Yeah, I mean, you get a speed 1 and then a speed 3 jump move. Like, if you planned it correctly, there's really no reason that she should. Now, if you like decided to shoot the same turn or something, like you probably made an error. But just the suppression is like a huge deal.
Mm-hmm.
Dropping. This is kind of like a mini Master of Evil, and that's if you don't do any damage, and you're going to do some damage with explosions.
Yeah, let's just talk about explosions real quick since we're already talking about it.
Yeah.
So it is her 1-pip. It just gives an order to Sabine, like most operative cards, and she gains arm 2 thermal charge and detonate 2 thermal charge, and the thermal charge is red-white. So if you drop both bombs,
surge crit
with blast. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I figured that was assumed on a explosive weapon, but
I just figured we'd toss it out there.
Yeah. So if you drop both bombs and detonate them at the same time, that's 2 red, 2 white, basically hitting everything in that area, whatever that is. And it's totally reasonable to expect to hit like 80% of a clone ball with both of those bombs.
Yeah, like, and it's not really close as far as like that's gonna happen, and there's not a ton they can do about it. So yeah, I mean, with how prominent clones have been, I really don't get it. So if people that play Sabine, if you're gonna leave in the comments or whatever, like why people are kind of veering away from her. Rebels have a lot of options right now, which is great. I think Sabine, out of all the commanders and all the operatives rebels have, she should be played the most.
Well, I wonder too. I don't remember. Maybe you guys remember when she had a lot of play at first when she first came out, but then I don't know. I felt like people kind of moved away from her even before clones. So maybe it's just been so long that people forgot.
She got kind of replaced by Jedi Luke.
Yeah.
I do want to hit a stat on explosions real quick because we're talking about, quote unquote disappointing explosions versus clone balls.
Yeah.
Each of these, if you detonate, each bomb averages 1.25 hits, which means both of them on a per unit basis combined average 2.5 hits. So if you hit 8 activations, which is not unreasonable when you're hitting a clone ball, you're talking about 20 hits, which is 6 to 7 dead clones on average if they have enough surges to cover all those saves, plus 2 suppression on all of those units. That's gonna win you the game, basically.
If it doesn't win you the game, it will get you very close, assuming that you're like in a parity position, right?
Right. Yeah. If the rest of your army is totally demolished, then it's probably not going to make as much of a difference. But
like, it's good enough that if nothing has happened, or like you've even traded a little bit, like just getting it off may win you the game. You know, yeah, she's really good. She's amazing. If I was playing Rebels, she'd be in I try and put her in just about every Rebel list I make that's competitive, because I think Explosions is probably the best Rebel command card.
It's devastating against droids too. Like, drop this on a B1 horde.
Right, we're talking about like it's 20 hits and like kills 7 dudes, and that's like the worst case scenario, sort of. You know.
Yeah, you could easily kill like 20 B1s with this.
Yeah, you know. So yeah, I'm all about Sabine.
All right.
She's not without her weaknesses. We should hit those. She only has 1 training slot, which isn't great. I think you're stapling situational awareness to that probably at this point.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because she has nimble. And she's already pretty tough with her Mandalorian save. But it means you can't take like offensive push. It means you can't take endurance, which would be helpful on her because she only has 2 courage. Clearly you can take the Darksaber to give her Dauntless, which helps a lot.
You guys Darksaber fans?
No.
Kyle?
I am not personally either historically. However, it is considerably cheaper than it was when she first came out.
What is it, like 15?
15.
I think it's 15 now.
Yeah, it's 15.
I think that if you've got the points in a Sabine list, I think it's probably worth 15 just for Dauntless. And if you end up swinging that thing in melee against a clone unit or something at some point, you're going to be pretty happy about it.
Yeah, I feel similarly. I mean, I don't really leave home without it, just because having your Sabine suppressed does suck.
Yeah,
a lot.
I do think if you are running Sabine, you want to strongly consider running her with Cassian. 2 of Cassian's cards are really good at stripping suppression. You know, Volunteer Mission is a straight up recover action, and then Last Stand provides Indomitable.
Yep.
So, and then of course, if you want, you can take Symbol of Rebellion, which gives her another free recover. So,
yeah, I mean, also it doesn't like does Volunteer hand out Danger Sense? That's the Danger Sense card, right? You know, which is not to be underestimated on red impervious units that are red surging impervious units already. You know, as far as making Sabine an unkillable mess, you know, that goes a long way. But yeah, I mean, I think to your point, Cassian and Sabine are a great combo. Like if you're Rebels and you're looking to kill clones, like Cassian and Sabine is where it's at. Sniper with Pierce always putting through the shot. Sabine dropping explosions at the right time. Like it doesn't really get much better than that, in my opinion.
agree. Her other primary weakness is basically that she doesn't really offer anything against armor.
Yeah, Darksaber doesn't have impact, right? And
It has impact 1.
it does have impact 1.
Impact 1, Pierce 1.
Not yeah. Still not pretty common. She does surge crit. I mean, she's as good at killing armor, I think, as most, you know, I don't know, gunslingy units. But she's about as good as Rex.
Right. But if you're comparing her to the other choices kind of in her slot / role, Jedi Luke is way better against armor.
Oh, totally.
Chewbacca is too.
Saber throw.
Yeah, right, with saber throw. But Chewbacca is too, frankly. Obviously, R2 doesn't do anything against armor, but that's not why you're taking R2. So yeah, I think it's just worth mentioning simply because the operatives that she's competing with are arguably like elite against armor. So should we talk about her?
It's interesting too that like she has her own upgrade cards too, right? Is she the only unit that has their own upgrade cards?
No, there's a couple others. Cad Bane has the Electro Gauntlets.
Yeah, I don't even pay attention to him. That
You
makes
mean
sense.
gear upgrades?
Yeah. Well, upgrades that only they can take.
Because there
that
are a lot
named
of
specifically for them.
there are a lot of armament upgrades that are like
But
that.
yeah. I meant like non-armament upgrades, right? Because hers are both gears. So yeah, I just always found that interesting about her.
It definitely felt to me like, if you could go back in time and redo Boba Fett, he'd have a similar treatment, like the whipcord on Sabine's clearly an upgrade, the shield, yeah.
Although the electro grappling line, well, it's reusable, is significantly worse than Boba's whipcord launcher.
Yeah, not being a free action is a deal.
Yeah. Anything else to say about Sabine?
No.
Please, for the love of God, play her more.
Yeah. Explosion's real good.
Explosion's best card in the game. Maybe.
I don't know if I go that far.
Oh, hot take.
I don't know. It's pretty close if it's not.
I mean, the fact that you can even make that take is telling, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a reasonable take.
Yeah. All right. Last but not least.
Probably the best.
Probably.
Well, I stabcast him. Here it comes, my dude. I hate R2D2.
So I think it's important to put him in the context of a Rebel list versus a Republic list.
I hate him more in a Rebel list, but continue.
Hate him isn't like you don't want to take him?
Yeah.
Okay. Elaborate.
I just, outside of Secret Mission, he does pretty much nothing, unless you're like running an airspeeder list or something. I think he has a place in the Rebel vehicle stuff, but I'm not just throwing him into every Rebel list willy-nilly because he's got Secret Mission. I don't know. I don't like that.
I agree, but I also think that most Rebel lists are lists where you're taking something that he specifically supports. Like most competitive Rebel lists right now are either some type of armor list with one or more AA5s in it, or like a double airspeeder.
Yep.
And or some kind of like Jedi Luke list where you're also taking C3PO and you're using calculate odds on Luke. So while I agree that if you're just running some random Rebel list that doesn't leverage those things, you might consider not taking R2. I think the most competitive Rebel lists right now tend to have those things in them anyway, particularly the AA5. So you might as well also take R2.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do think people have gotten better at countering Secret Mission.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty confident against Secret Mission generally. I've definitely lost games to it, but I've definitely won more games against it than lost, and it always feels to me like it's dealable over the course of the game. Definitely can be a nuisance, but worth 45 to 60 points. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say even like so I've flown the double airspeeder list a couple times with R2. And I don't know, out of the 3 or 4, maybe 5, I don't know, maybe 5 games that I've played, I secret missioned once, tried to secret mission another time, healed, did repair to an airspeeder once. And then the other like 2 times he really didn't do much because there wasn't really much for him to do.
Well, I think at least if I'm running double airspeeder, I would run double airspeeder along with 3 ATRTs.
Yeah. To
give him, not just specifically to give R2 something else to do, but because I think Rebel armor skew like that is a legit concept. But also, you have to keep in mind with Secret Mission, a lot of people treat it as just kind of like a free victory point, but you really need to build your deployments for it. And you also need to bid blue to get those deployments. Because just coming from the opposite perspective, as someone that's been playing a lot of not Rebels recently, whenever I build a list that does not have R2 in it, I always put short edge to short edge deployments in my deck, and I bid for blue. And Secret Mission is a lot more difficult to score when you're going short edge to short edge, which is specifically one of the main reasons I do it. So if you've got R2 in your deck, you need to bid for blue, and you need to put like long edge to long edge deployments in there, or you're definitely not taking R2 for Secret Mission.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. You can't. Yeah, the problem I get caught up when the R2 conversation rolls around is a lot of people are just like, put R2 in your list, fire and forget. And I don't think it's nearly that. It's not that simple.
Like, you definitely should probably still put R2 in your list, but you need to have a plan for how you're going to use him. Not just like start every list with R2. which you're right is kind of the the shorthand in some circles, and I don't think that's. I think he ends up in most well thought out lists for the reasons that we already talked about, but I definitely agree that it's not just like plug in R2 and go from there.
No, I definitely think he's also I think a high skill cap unit to some degree.
Yeah, agree.
So I'll just be running Operative Luke without R2. Thank you very much. Our Op Luke Sabine. Pew, 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 pew.
Jeez.
I love calculate odds on Jedi Luke. It's so good.
You can always take a Rebel Trooper with a scanner.
I know. But that's like almost the same cost, and that Rebel Trooper is considerably squishier and doesn't have Secret Mission. Or Smokescreen, which is also great on Jedi Luke.
Smokescreen is pretty good.
Let's talk about his command cards real quick.
Sure. His 2 command cards.
Yeah, the 2-pip doesn't really do anything. I don't think I've ever seen that played. I mean, it would be hilarious if you managed to like roast a unit of B1s with it, but
which is totally possible.
Yeah.
But it's got to be in your list. I mean, like if you're running R2 in a Lando list, like maybe I don't know.
Yeah. And R2 has like range 1 is really close for a unit that's speed 1.
Yeah, it is.
And basically no movement abilities. I mean, clearly he has blast off, but you're not using blast off to get into a position to use his flamethrower.
The other thing is that like the flamethrower dice are not particularly good. Like, don't get me wrong, 2 white die per mini is like fine, but it's not like you're tossing like a red surging critical like with Boba Fett. Like Boba's flamethrower doesn't make the table. Like this certainly will,
Yeah, no, agree.
So his 3-pip.
Yeah, Smokescreen. It's good. Free moves are good.
Free moves are good. The smoke token is fine.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's
But
Smokescreens for the No Time for Sorrow style effect, basically.
totally. You can definitely catch, I think, people off guard with this card. The timing, the fact that it's a 3-pip makes it a little bit awkward. I think it's better for hiding than engaging, in my experience.
It's funny. They added smoke. I literally don't think I've played with it once. I don't think I've played against it once either. I don't think I've ever played a game with smoke involved.
It's not very good.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do something with Stormtide.
There you go, Michael.
I mean,
it's bringing it back.
It's free with this card, so it's like free cover 1, I guess. Why not? But I've definitely played Smokescreen, and I've literally forgot to put the smoke token down.
Yeah.
Just because I don't even remember that that's an effect on this card often.
Yeah.
Right. Any other R2 thoughts?
You have to take blast off. You cannot not take blast off.
Yeah.
If you're taking R2, blast off is not optional. Just to be clear.
Yeah. And if you're running him with another, like if you're running him alongside Jedi Luke, I think you still want to take blast off, but you might want to consider a comms relay so that you don't have an order, or you don't have a turn where Jedi Luke doesn't have an order.
Totally. I totally agree. But you can't not take it. The jump, speed boost, not being able to be shot. It's key in making sure that he actually gets where he needs to be.
Yeah.
If you ever want to score a secret mission, you have to take blast off.
Yeah, if secret mission's a thing that you want to be in play, and it should be if you're paying the points for R2, then yeah, take blast off. All right, any other thoughts?
Nah, I'm good. Jay?
No.
Well, I
That's it.
kind of feel like this was a tactics section on Chewie.
Yeah.
Well, we
bit.
had covered Luke already, right?
We did.
Extensively. in the
And these
Jedi
other
thing.
twos were kind of quick hits, which is fine.
I think we went into Sabine a little bit.
We did.
I would like to hear more about Sabine. I mean, I think too, Mike, to kind of get back to why no one's using Sabine point is, I think this is a great thing to be at, is we're at a point in the game where there's just so much stuff that like new stuff keeps coming out. And you're like, yeah, I want to try the party bus. I want to try Wookiees, you know, and you're like, oh yeah, Sabine's still in this game. Like I there's just so much stuff now that it's, especially Rebels, they have so many options that it's hard to, sometimes some get left behind that absolutely should not get left behind.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely I think the last store tournament we went to before the pandemic, I just remember every Rebel list had Sabine in it. It was just, I mean, don't get me wrong, that was much closer to Sabine's release date and everything.
She was real good with Tauntauns.
Yeah, she was everywhere. It didn't matter what kind of Rebel list it was, whether it was Luke Sabine or Sabine Tauntauns or, she's just real good.
I think it's all about slot competition.
Yeah.
And I think R2 has a lot to do with it, and I think Cassian has a lot to do with it. Like I'd bet money on the two most common operative choices for Rebels being K2 and R2.
That's probably true. There's definitely an efficiency conversation to be had here, as far as activations and points per activation and that sort of thing. But I do think, for like 125 points, she's got like the most deadly attack in the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you could take her with, like, can you imagine if you could take her with droids? She's the same cost as Cad Bane.
Right. Cad Bane has nothing on Sabine Wren, right?
No.
Like, it's not close.
Yeah.
She's cheaper than Boba Fett. Right? Like, what's Boba Fett these days?
A million billion
Too many.
points.
125. Sorry, she's the same cost as Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Like, it's not close. She's way better than Boba Fett,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we'll get fat Boba Fett soon, and then everything will be fine.
Fat Boba Fett?
From Mandalorian.
Oh,
Dad bod.
For a second,
Dad,
I was
Dad bod Boba Fett.
Yeah, I was thinking you were doing like PHAT.
yeah, I was like, what?
Like good Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He still fits in his armor.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going off the rails here. Any final thoughts?
That armor is much looser than it used to be.
Yes. Yeah. This felt version of Boba Fett that's in Return of the Jedi, that armor definitely looks, I mean, it fits him well, right? It's difficult to, there was definitely some strap loosening going on there when Tamora Morrison put that armor on. Anyway, we are the Notorious Scoundrels. I'm Kyle.
I'm Mike.
And I am Jay.
Stay fresh, cheese bags.